Good Saturday morning, everyone. Ready to roll. I'm Will Doctor, bringing you the latest as far as the world of golf is concerned here in week 44 of the professional season. We'll discuss some of the global golf going on at the moment, but we'll keep it local for the majority of the show as I'm live from Bentwater Golf Club, where over 112 golfers will be playing today in support of the United States military, thanks to Grammy's Cookie Convoy, which is an outstanding nonprofit organization that has been sending care packages to Iraq since 2005. Listen, you cannot beat a great chocolate chip cookie. One of those great chocolate chip cookies where you just stop mid-bite and you feel like you're at home in the kitchen again, 5 years old, come inside and mom just pulls out the tray of fresh cookies from the oven. You can't beat that. And what Grammy's Cookie Convoy has done over the last 20 years is send mass shipments of cookies to the troops, all with handwritten notes from volunteers across the nation. And we're talking over 10,000 cookies per shipment. And the troops absolutely love it. And we're going to hear from a couple great veterans who have benefited from the Troops Project and are now working in the world of sports. They're here today with us in Bentwater, CC. And troopsproject.com is where you can go to get involved with Grammy's Cookie Convoy and help support the troops. Eric Duravin III is the Grammy's Cookie Convoy recipient this year. He served 2 tours in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan. He's gonna join the show at 8:30, and then Andy Rise is going to join us at 8:45. And Andy is the mental performance and leadership coordinator for the Chicago Bears. He played 4 years of college football at West Point before an outstanding 20-plus year career with the U.S. Army. Listen, Andy Rise is going to be one of the best guests we've ever had on the show. This is a guy who led in extremely high-stakes environments as an artillery officer. He earned 2 Bronze Star medals, served with the Elite Special Forces Unit, and then taught psychology and leadership at West Point before taking his mental performance and leadership ability to pro sports organizations. Rise spent some time with the Cincinnati Reds in the MLB and moved along to the NFL where he's doing great work with the Bears. And I'll be interested to hear how, golf, when you're talking about the world of golf, it's 99% mental. I'll be looking forward to getting some insights from Rise. We'll hear from Duravin and Rise after we talk to Golf Week's Tim Schmidt at 8:15. Tim is going to give us the latest on the world of golf and the chances of one Tiger Woods playing on PGA Tour Champions in 2026. We heard Miller Brady, who is the head of the Champions Tour, came out and said, look, he can't make any promises as far as Tiger's health. Tiger had the Achilles surgery earlier this year, had another back operation at the beginning of October. So Brady really couldn't make any promises whether Tiger would be playing in 2026, but he did say Champions Tour is ready for him as far as the infrastructure, the security, the concessions. PGA Tour Champions will be ready if Tiger decides to tee it up in 2026. Once again, Champions Tour, Tiger can get on a cart. I know he's had a ton of surgeries, body really not in good shape, but you put him on a cart. We've heard from a lot of pros, Nota Begay, Justin Thomas. Put Tiger on a cart, he can beat anyone in the world. So I'll be looking forward to hearing the latest on Tiger from Tim Schmidt. As far as the world of pro golf right now, you have some pretty good golf going on at the Link Hong Kong Open, where Tom McKibben leads at 20 under. MJ McGuire is in solo second at 19 under. Very interesting. I think in 2019, I caddied for a buddy of mine, James Yoon, in the second stage of Q School in Lakeland, Florida. James had just finished an outstanding college career at Cal Berkeley and played with Max Homa, Colin Morikawa. Was great experience to caddy for him. We were paired with MJ McGuire that year for 2 rounds, and he is a flusher of the golf ball. If you have a chance to watch the Hong Kong Open on Golf Channel this weekend, watch MJ McGuire's putting routine. He's feeling the line, creeping up on the putt, making it happen. I think MJ McGuire is an excellent sleeper heading into the weekend at the Hong Kong Open. Of course, you have other superstars atop the leaderboard. Peter Uihlein 2 shots back. Kiradech, Oppie Barnrat out there hitting the vape. He's 3 back at 17 under. Louis Oosthuizen's at 16 under. So a really good product there in Hong Kong this week. You've got a little Challenge Tour action wrapping up there at Mallorca at the Tour Final. Challenge Tour is obviously the AAA for the DP World Tour. You've got some LPGA action going on in Malaysia. So we'll get to those tournaments as well as a few headlines around the world of golf, especially with our friend Tim Schmidt. I think the biggest story in the world of golf over the last 2 weeks had to be what unfolded at the Black Desert Championship last week with 23-year-old Michael Brennan winning in his 3rd start on the PGA Tour, his first PGA Tour start as a professional. Brennan turned pro in 2024 after an 8-win career at Wake Forest, which included back-to-back ACC championships. He was not at the top of his class in PGA Tour U, but was ranked high enough to get status on PGA Tour Americas, where he won 3 times over the course of this season. He won the Americas Tour money list and was scheduled to move up to the Korn Ferry Tour in 2026, but Brennan received a sponsor's exemption last week in Utah and took advantage of a great opportunity. Here he was post-round.
It means a lot. It's golf's a big part of my life. I try not to make it my entire life, but it's a big part of my life. It's what I do for a living. And to have success at the professional level, it's an amazing feeling.
Some people want to fuss about these sponsors exemptions. You cannot be upset with sponsors exemptions given out at full field tournaments. The sponsors, especially a sponsor like Bank of Utah, putting up a purse for 125 plus man field. The sponsors deserve to be able to hand pick a couple players to compete. And the exemption committee in Utah struck gold with Michael Brennan. You want to get mad about sponsors exemptions at 70-player signature events. I can maybe understand that with how much is on the line at those tournaments. But I think it is a very positive thing. The situation with Brennan last week, I think it's a very positive thing for the PGA Tour and full field tournaments to bring up hot players from Americas and Korn Ferry Tour when they're rolling on their game like Michael Brennan was going into last week. We will remember Michael Brennan's win in Utah like we remember Jordan Spieth's first win at the John Deere. We'll remember it like Scottie Scheffler's first win in Phoenix in 2022. Michael Brennan is cut from that cloth. And remember, he won with a lot less starts under his belt than both Scheffler and Spieth. Brennan is only the 5th player in history to win his first PGA Tour title within his first 3 career starts. Bob Gilder won in his 3rd start in 1976 at the Phoenix Open. Seve Ballesteros, he won in his 3rd career start at Sedgefield. Russell Henley did it at the 2013 Sony. That was his 3rd start. And funny enough, the 2024 Black Desert winner Matt McCarty was in his 3rd start on the PGA Tour when he won in Utah as well. Outside of that, and of course Michael Brennan joined the party there. Outside of that, only 2 other guys have won within their first 2 starts on the PGA Tour. It only took South African Garrick Higgo 2 starts before winning the 2021 Palmetto Championship at Congaree. We had their director of golf, Bruce Davidson, on the show last week. And then the only player to win in their first start on tour was Jim Benipe at the 1988 BMW Championship, which was hosted at Butler National. I wish we still had a PGA Tour event hosted at Butler National. That would be unbelievable. Believe it or not, that was Jim Benipe's only PGA Tour win in his first start in 1988. Of course, you'll remember Nick Dunlop won his first PGA Tour event as an amateur on sponsors exemption at the 2024 Amex. But when you dig deeper into that, that was his 4th start on the PGA Tour. He had played the 2022 U.S. Open at the Country Club. Dunlop had played the 23 U.S. Open at LACC, and he had played the 2023 Bermuda Championship at the end of the 23 fall season. So Amex was his fourth start. Still very impressive. And fast forward a couple years, Dunlop's a two-time PGA Tour winner. I think Brennan's win in Utah really highlighted how strong the PGA Tour ecosystem is right now. PGA Tour U gets the best college players from university to the big leagues very quickly now. Of course, Brennan won 8 times at Wake Forest. He was 12th on PGA Tour U in 2024. Imagine that, 8 wins in college, and you finished 12th on PGA Tour U. Now, he was still able to get status on a feeder tour, work his way up quick, earned a sponsor's exemption. Now he has 2 years of status on the PGA Tour. You have to give credit to the PGA Tour ecosystem right now. You look at the last 3 PGA Tour U number ones. Ludvig Åberg in 2023, he's a PGA Tour winner. Saw him win at Torrey Pines earlier this year. Has contended at the Masters twice. Michael Thorby Bjornsson was PGA Tour U number 1 in 2024. He had a very solid rookie year this year. And in 2025, the latest number 1 was David Ford. We saw him here in Houston at Whispering Pines last November competing for Team USA at the Spirit. Ford finished number 1 on PGA Tour U for North Carolina and just had a top 5 finish in Utah last week. And we're going to see him in the winner's circle very soon, along with Pearson Coody, who was contending last week in Utah as well. It was one of those rare tournaments, Utah, that really never felt close once Brennan took a share of the lead in the second round. You did wonder how he was going to be able to handle the pressure in only his third start on tour, but he did not flinch. Thorbjorn Olesen, Jesper Svensson, and David Lipsky led after round 1 at 6 under. Brennan took a share of the lead with David Ford at 10 under after round 2. Brennan then stretched his lead to 2 shots after 54 holes, had a 2-shot lead over Matt McCarty going to the final round. And then Sunday, McCarty dropped off quick on the front 9, and I believe the closest competitor to Brennan was Rico Hoey. I think he got within 3 shots. I think with Brennan, it got a little choppy there on 9, 10, and 11 when Hoey made a couple great birdies. I believe Hoey got within 3, and Brennan talked about that with the media scrum after the win.
Hell yeah. I mean, I was nervous the entire round. There were moments of maybe more confidence and less, and that definitely kind of maybe woke me up a bit. I felt like I played some really good golf following that 10th hole. Played 11 solid, 12 solid, 13 and 14 were really solid. But yeah, Rico played really, really well today, and he did not make it easy. I think when he made that putt on 12 and we shared birdies, that was kind of a bit of a cool moment. Gave Nux on 13T, just because we knew that we were both playing some pretty good golf that day, and it was a fun battle.
Hoey finished solo second. He played amazing over the weekend, shot rounds of 63, 67, and still finished 4 back of Brennan, who should have won by 6 had he not bogeyed the par 5 18th on Sunday. This was just an incredible story that has unfortunately been swept under the rug by brain rot golf media covering amateur golf reinstatements and the YouTube circus and losing their minds about Kai Trump getting a sponsor's exemption. Once again, the sponsors can pick whoever they want. They put all the money into the tournaments. So Annika can select whoever she wants to play in her event. But there should have been a lot more time spent on Michael Brennan over the last 2 weeks. He possesses a golf swing that should just be on repeat on SportsCenter Top 10. All these celebrities and their newfound interest in golf Justin Bieber, Bronny James, they're playing golf every day. They would throw their careers away for a swing like Michael Brennan. Do people understand that Michael Brennan averaged 351 yards off the tee, hitting 89% of his fairways last week? 713-780-3776 is the number. We're going to get some video activity going on the show pretty soon, break down some swings live on the show. Do people have any idea how good Michael Brennan's swing is? Or is your brain still mushed from the Internet Invitational? 713-780-3776 is the number. We'll be back on the other side with Tim Schmidt.
This is the Golf Hour
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
From the Huntington Bank Studios, here's Will Doctor.
Nice to have you aboard. We're here live from Bentwater Country Club, where over 112 golfers are playing today in support of the troops through Grammy's Cookie Convoy. We'll hear from Eric Duravin at 8:30 and Andy Rise at 8:45. We now head over to the Progressive Guest Line and welcome Golf Week's Tim Schmidt. We're going to get caught up on we'll do a little Ryder Cup review. He's got the latest as far as the chances of Tiger Woods competing on the Champions Tour in 2026. Got a couple other questions on the Champions Tour. They're going to eliminate Q School, and definitely want to go over a little bit of the skins game and the Hero World Challenge. Tim, great to have you aboard. Thanks for taking some time here this morning before Texas hosts Vandy at 11 a.m. Central. How are you this morning?
Great, thanks. Yes, I'm about to head over to a tailgate party right now, and let's hope the Longhorns can. It's been a tough season, but they're still 6-2, and this would be a great win for them today, and still put them in position. We'll see. We'll see what Sark has up his sleeve.
Tim, I'm bummed. I'm gonna miss the game. I would love to be posted up listening to Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy and Molly McGrath there on ABC and ESPN. That's gonna be a movie. I can't complain too much though. I'm here live from Bentwater Country Club, about an hour 15 north of Houston in Montgomery, and I want to get to a couple topics as far as Tiger Woods and PGA Tour champions as Tiger turns 50 next month. It seems like Miller Brady was not interested in speculating whether Tiger would play in 2026, but he did tell the press that the tour would be ready for Tiger. What's the latest there, Tim?
It's so interesting. If we talked about this just a couple of years ago, Will, I would have probably said, I just don't see it. I just don't see Tiger, admitting that his stuff isn't as good as the best in the world. But it's so interesting, this most recent back surgery he had, which was done to alleviate pain. It was not done because it was an absolute necessity like the ones in the past. This is a game changer in a lot of ways. This is Tiger admitting, I want to live my life to its fullest from here on out. And yes, of course, competition will always be at the front and foremost of Tiger Woods' mind. Fame, not so much, right? Jordan Spieth, Bryson DeChambeau, those guys need to be famous. Tiger doesn't need to be famous. He has to have a competitive outlet. And I think that this most recent surgery was his way of saying, I need to get my body in shape to be able to just get back out there. And I think that may mean, the PNC is something he loves to do with Charlie. I think that may mean that he does take this PGA Tour champion seriously in the future. And what a game changer that is for that circuit. If Tiger Woods plays 5, 6, 8 events on that tour next year, that's going to be must-watch television for the first time in champions, in decades on the Champions Tour. So I'm not saying by any means that this is a slam dunk, but a lot of the things that have happened recently, the positioning of what Tiger's doing is kind of setting him up to be able to play regular golf tournaments again, not just majors, not just gearing up his back to be able to hit the ball and hang with the young guys, but to be able to play golf again. And I really feel like that the Champions Tour would be his best outlet to do this. One last thing on that, Will, back in the day, watching Tiger meant, watching him roll the ball 30 yards past everyone and then hit irons in and then make amazing putts. The last 5 years, including that 2019 Masters title, which was amazing, Tiger was 30, 40 yards behind everybody, and it was making, it was hitting longer irons in and having to putt his way to success. He gets back on the Champions Tour, and it's the old Tiger. It's Tiger hitting the ball. He's not maybe at the front of everyone, but he's right in that mix, and I think that's something that he'd like to be back in. That's a position he'd like to be back in. So don't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he does play a handful of tournaments next year.
And are we underestimating the fact that he's going to have a cart, Tim? Is he still planning on using a cart, and what a help that will be? Can you confirm that it's really not the golf swing, Tim? It's the walk of the tournament.
Right. Well, that's the thing is he'll be able to use a cart with the seniors. It's 3 days instead of 4. It's all the things. I'm guessing Tiger's not playing in pro-ams each week and doing all the things that other players will do. There will be all kinds of exceptions made for Tiger Woods because, of course, the rating will go from a .001 to whatever it'll go to, which is exorbitantly higher. But yeah, the walk is more important than the golf swing right now. But like I said, the fact that he had this back surgery that was, an elective surgery. He didn't need this. This was just to alleviate pain. It kind of sets up that, hey, look, I want to get back into a routine of maybe not killing my back the way I was doing when I was trying to stay on the tour, but just playing golf again, just enjoying the game. I do think that a cart would be something that, at the Champions Tour would be a game changer as well. But I don't, if he tees it up at the Masters or at the British at some point at, St. Andrews or something, those would just be for show. I mean, that would just I don't think Tiger sees himself competitively hanging with the best players in the world. And I'm sure that's difficult for him. That's not Tiger's mentality. Remember, like I said, he doesn't care about being famous. He cares about winning. And this would give him an avenue to do that again.
Tim, Miller Brady talked about preparation and how, you know, the advances in security, concession, space when Tiger's on property. PGA Tour champions has to be ready for that. When you look back 30 years to when Jack and Arnold and Gary and Lee were playing on the Champions Tour, it was broadcasted on ABC and ESPN. I mean, and when Tiger comes back and plays, it's going to be must-see television. Has Miller Brady talked at all about the TV deals? Will it still only be on Golf Channel? Do you think we could see Champions Tour make a return to a bigger network?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt that, especially if they do this right, if this isn't a last-minute addition, if Tiger puts together an actual schedule and plays 4 or 5 tournaments, and again, I have no confirmation that that's going to happen at all. I'm just saying if that is something that he's thinking about, I don't think there's any doubt that those tournaments find their way onto NBC or other places, back onto network television. As a matter of fact, if they play, and if they did this right, of course, he will probably play tournaments that are opposite of normal events, not signature events or majors. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they bump PGA Tour golf out. Remember, this is a guy, and I know you know this from following him, Will, and Charlie and I have talked about this in the past too. Look, I didn't see Arnie's Army back in its heyday. I didn't see what that was like. But I remember following Tiger at various majors and other players just being in awe of the galleries and the way that the whole thing felt was completely different. And these are tour players who are, you know, grizzled old vets who do this for a living. And when they'd come off, they'd say, you know, I'll be honest, I was shaking for the first few holes because I'm just not used to that. I'm not used to the chaos that comes with Tiger. That's going to follow him. That's only going to follow him onto the Champions Tour. This will be must-see TV. It'll be the most expensive tickets in the history of the Champions Tour. If this whole thing happens, this will elevate a tour that really, I'm not going to lie to you, I think Brian Rolapp was trying to show to the door. And wouldn't that be Tiger's another feather in his cap if he could say that he basically turned around what was kind of a dying franchise in the Champions Tour and turned it back into something that was really viable? That would be yet another amazing mark on his already incredible resume.
Once again, we have Golf Week's Tim Schmidt joining us on ESPN 97.5 Houston. Tim, was Tiger not involved with Team USA at Bethpage? Was it because some of the back operations? Is he involved with kind of the for-profit PGA Tour and the future of what that looks like? Are his hands full right now? Why was he not at Bethpage?
You know, I'm going to say something so weird here, right? I don't know that Tiger is good for the Ryder Cup United States team. And by that I mean, you know, yes, I know the guys like and respect Tiger a lot, but Tiger is a very odd bird in the way that what's made him so special is not the fact that he's the buddy that you want to take out and go in a foursome with on Sunday because you want to have a good time. It's the guy who wants to beat the pants off of you. And I think the only guy who relates to that in the field now is Scotty, right? Scotty's similar. Scotty's a nicer guy than Tiger was back in his heyday, much nicer to the other players guy. And I don't mean nicer. He's just kind of oblivious. To Scotty's a guy who just kind of mills around in the locker room and doesn't even notice that people are saying hi or looking at him. He's just kind of oblivious to things. Tiger was outwardly, you know, off-putting to others. He didn't want to engage with players. He didn't want to be that guy who was chummy. And while I think he's obviously softened quite a bit, it's still not, that doesn't make him a great team captain or a great team player. What the U.S. team doesn't do well, and they didn't do well again, you know, look, Shane Lowry's a good golfer. When Shane and Rory are together, you can tell there's something magical there, right? There's such passion for something together. And I don't think the U.S. team has that. I don't think Tiger was really involved in this time at Bethpage, but I also don't know moving forward if he's the perfect fit for a team captain because of his mentality, which is just, look, go out and do this on your own. And that's where Ryder Cup is such a different animal.
Luke Donald has been an outstanding captain for Team Europe. Is Keegan Bradley going to be back at Adair Manor for Team USA?
You know, it's funny you say that. Well, I'm playing golf with him a week from Tuesday, and trust me,
Wow,
that's going to be the first question I ask him. Very first question I ask him in Boca Raton in 2 weeks is, hey, what's going on? We coming back? But why not, right? He's the perfect fit. Again, I had some time, and I think I told you this before, but I met with Darren Clark down in his home in Abaco Island in the Bahamas about 6 or 8 months ago. And he said, you know, Luke's the perfect guy for this because when Darren came in, Sevy was that guy who said, check your ego at the door. Check your ego at the door. Pick it up on Monday. When you're in this room, you're a team member. Don't be that guy who's going to pull this thing down. And he's the perfect guy to continue that European mentality is Luke Donald. He really did such a masterful job of that. He's kind of stayed behind the scenes. Look, I don't think this is Keegan Bradley's fault, but the story going into the Ryder Cup from the U.S. side was, you know, well, should Keegan have played? Should he not have played? Wasn't that an interesting selection? We love Keegan. He's Mr. USA. Luke Donald just stayed behind the scenes, kind of kept his guys in order, and what happened? The Europeans came out and once again played great golf. So I think if they go away from Luke Donald, let's put it this way. I think the European side would love to have Luke Donald back. I think it's just a matter of if he wants to do it. But I also think, why wouldn't he? He's such a perfect guy for that job. And the success they keep having, why wouldn't you want to repeat it?
Tim, great work this morning. Great to catch up. Enjoy the Texas Vanderbilt game. We appreciate your time and the latest as always.
Always good to talk to you, Will.
That was Tim Schmidt of Golf Week. In case you missed that interview, you can find it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify at the conclusion of the show. We'll be back after this break with Eric Derevin III, a U.S. Army veteran who served 2 tours in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. We're here live from Bentwater Country Club. Visit troopsproject.com to get involved with Grammy's Cookie Convoy and help support the troops. Back after this.
Mike Booker, chairman of the Texas Golf Hall of Fame and holder of a record number of Texas Golf Association championships.
The Texas Golf Hall of Fame is the foundation of golf in our great state. So many great individuals, Ben Hogan, Byron Nelson, Kathy Whitworth, Ben Crenshaw, and many others, lead the way in making golf in Texas known around the world. Now you can experience the history of Texas golf digitally at texasgolfhof.org and share with your family and friends. See you on the course.
You're listening to the Golf Hour
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Huntington Bank Studios. Here's Will Doctor.
Eric Duravin III is a U.S. Army veteran who served 2 tours in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. He is the recipient of Grammy's Cookie Convoy Award this year. And what a story he has. I look forward to hearing more of it today on ESPN 97.5 Houston. Eric, thank you for your service. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
It's great to see you. You're the Grammy Cookie Convoy recipient this year. How did that organization connect with you?
Well, it was my 3rd tour going into Iraq. I was heading up to Talifar and just happened to go into a rec room, and it was boxes of stuff that was sent from the States to all the troops, and I came across a big box of chocolate chip cookies. So took a package, opened it up, tasted it. It was absolutely delicious. And next thing I know, I'm looking for milk to go with these cookies. And I saw it had an email address to return, and I said, I have to thank this person for sending these cookies. So when I was able to get to a computer, I sent an email off, and the relationship has been going strong since 2006. Grammy has sent cookies to my son and daughter who are in Afghanistan and Iraq. My daughter was with me in Afghanistan, and I've known her since then. And, it's a wonderful thing to receive these gifts and for everything that she's done for the troops all this time. Totally amazing.
When you were in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the first time you picked up one of those cookies, did it take you back to a certain place in your life?
Chocolate chip cookies and milk, dipping them in the milk.
Was that
like being home?
That was a favorite growing up.
Yes, it was.
How did you get into the Army?
I was going to college. It was something I had always planned to do, watching the war movies growing up, John Wayne, Audie Murphy, all of that. And it's a family tradition. My family has to date over 140 years of military service to the United States. And it was something that it was destiny to do in my family. My 2 sons, my brother, a granddaughter, all in from my side of the family. And just like I said, it was destiny.
Thank you for your service and your entire family. You served multiple tours. How did your military service prepare you for dealing with different things down the road in life?
Well, that is the one thing about the military: improvise, utilize, adapt, and overcome. And one of the things I first learned in basic training, the 7 Ps: proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Now that sounds funny and cute, but when you apply it to life, it works. And if you're paying attention to what's going on around you, improvise, utilize, adapt, and overcome, it works. And if you want to be someone or something in life, well, those 4 things, those 7 things, it makes a difference. The rest is up to you if you want to be something, if you want to be someone.
Eric Duravin III joins us live on ESPN 97.5 Houston, live from Bentwater Country Club for the Grammys Cookie Convoy golf tournament. Really amazing work that they do. The packages they send, over 10,000 cookies per shipment. Compared to maybe some of the other things that you may receive when you're overseas in the military, just some different gifts, the handwritten note from the volunteer that comes in the cookie. Do you remember your note from your first cookie?
No, I don't, but I can tell you I did answer it. I took several little envelopes from kids that sent, and I answered them and sent them back. And one of the things I did for a number of the adults that were organizing these things. Now, a lot of people sent flags back to the United States that were flown. I took it one step further. I had the flags embroidered and dedicated to those individuals and sent it back to them. And all I can say is they were happy, shocked, and surprised to not just receive a flag, but to receive a flag that was embroidered, dedicated specifically to them. That's how much I appreciated these people getting these packages and sending them. And they sent all kind of things. I remember getting a box that had a thing from Cincinnati, spaghetti and chili mixed together. And for my father, every time he sent me a box, he sent a roll of toilet paper. Now that's funny. But let me explain something. There was never a shortage of toilet paper. It wasn't always the best quality toilet paper. So a roll of toilet paper from my father, every box, was always appreciated.
I mean, there's nothing like. I mean, well, you gotta have some good toilet paper.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, especially in your situation, and you know, it feels like you're coming out of Walmart with the toilet paper on your shoulder, giving a big fist bump. Eric Durbin
Yes.
joins us on 97.5 Houston. Eric, in my research of you, you mentioned your father.
Right.
I read a story when he passed. It was not an easy process for you as far as the bureaucratic mix-up, and you had a lot going on. Can you share with us the confusion during your father's death?
Well, what happened was, I'm Eric H. Durbin III. My father's Eric H. Durbin Jr. And when he passed away, I did all the right things. I called the right people, let them know that he passed away so the checks and everything would stop and we could have a smooth transition. Now, bureaucrats being what they are, it's obviously, and I said this because I was so pissed off, some idiot didn't take the time to read. Junior the third, 2 different social security numbers. I don't know which name popped up first, but they obviously hit my name, and all of my money and everything stopped coming. And when I called them to ask them what the heck happened, yeah, we made a mistake. And then they wanted to tell me it's going to take 6 months to fix it. I said, it took you like 24 hours to do it, and you're going to tell me? So I had to go to my assemblymen, the newspapers, and everything to set a fire under their behinds to get them to fix it, because they literally stopped. They listed me as passing away.
You were deceased.
Yeah, technically in the system. I was deceased, and they just stopped all my benefits and everything.
And for 6 months, you
No,
weren't
it
getting.
took a little
Okay.
bit less. Well, after I jumped on it, it took 3 months for them to fix it. But initially, when I called them and tried to be nice about it, you know, it was a problem, and we'll fix it, but it's going to take 6 months.
Have you ever met anyone else that has happened to?
No, no. And again, I attribute it to just plain old laziness.
Yeah.
You saw a name, you clicked on it, and you didn't bother to read.
Now, but your military experience, it prepared you for dealing with those kind of bureaucratic hardships, didn't it?
Yes, yes,
You know?
it did. Yes,
We
it
have
did.
we have time for one more question here with
Yes.
Eric Durbin III. What's the most important lesson you took away from your 3 tours?
You know, the important lesson is how much the people in this country do not appreciate what we have. They don't read, they don't bother to learn, and it's not about Republican or Democrat. It's about learning, appreciating what you have. There's an American dream, and if you want, it's there. If you're in this country, it's there. You have people that come here. If they can read and write English, they can be successful in that first generation, but they are definitely successful in the second generation. And Americans take all of that for granted. We're not appreciating what we have in this country and what makes us the United States of America. And trust me, my 35 years of service, I've seen a lot. My first tour, I came home, and people are crying about their cafe latte mochaccino isn't made right. They couldn't get internet service or something, and they act like it's the end of the world. And I'm there a year in Iraq, my first time, almost getting blown up a couple of times. And your biggest problem is your coffee isn't right and you can't get internet. We don't appreciate what we have, and we need to learn what America is about and appreciate this country, because, you know, people talk about, well, I'm leaving. Okay, leave. Where you going?
Yeah.
Where you going that's better than this?
Yeah. How are we going to fix that with the next generation, if you had
Education.
to guess? Yeah.
A real education, not this bias nonsense. People spending $50,000 to go to Harvard, Yale, MIT, Stanford, and, you know, they
To
walk-
read McGraw-Hill textbook.
or the stuff that they're pushing in there that shouldn't be in there. And, again, it's boys and male sport. You want to know how to stop that? The girls and the women have to stop up and say, we're not competing with these guys when they show up. All it's going to take is 3 guys in individual sports, and women will be relegated to 4th place. 2 guys on a team, and women's teams will be relegated to 4th place. We need to wake up, get an education, pay attention to what's going on around us, and you know what? This country will be great again.
I completely agree. Eric, I love the way you speak. Thank you for taking some time with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
It's
for
a
your
pleasure
service.
to be here.
You're the best, Eric. We'll talk again soon. I've got your number. I'm going to call you.
Anytime, any place.
That's Eric Durbin III. Just heard from him on ESPN 97.5 Houston. In case you missed the interview, you can find it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify at the conclusion of the show. Andy Rise is next. This is the Golf Hour with Will Doctor. Back after this.
Mike Booker, chairman of the Texas Golf Hall of Fame and holder of a record number of Texas Golf Association championships.
The Texas Golf Hall of Fame is the foundation of golf in our great state. So many great individuals: Ben Hogan, Byron Nelson, Kathy Whitworth, Ben Crenshaw, Babe Zaharias, Tom Kite, and many more lead the way in making golf in Texas known around the world. Learn about the historic golf courses and the individuals that promoted the game through leadership, teaching, and passion. Texas and golf go hand in hand in the history of the game and camaraderie. Together we can honor the past, celebrate the present, and inspire future generations of Texas golfers. Golf is a sport for everyone, and I encourage you to experience the history of Texas golf digitally at texasgolfhof.org and share it with your golf family and friends. That's texasgolfhof.org. See you on the course.
The Golf Hour continues now on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
From the Huntington Bank Studios, here's Will Doctor.
Nice to have you aboard. We're here live from Bentwater Country Club, where 112 golfers are out here supporting Grammy's Cookie Convoy, which is a nonprofit organization supporting all of the troops, doing packages, sending shipments of over 10,000 cookies per order. We just heard from Eric Duravin. We are now with Andy Reese, who is the Mental Performance and Leadership Coordinator for the Chicago Bears. He is from Oakdale, California, played football for the Army Black Knights at West Point, graduated in 2001 before serving 20-plus years for the U.S. military. Andy, great to have you aboard. How are you this morning?
Thanks for having me, Will, and thanks for everyone listening.
How were you introduced to the convoy?
Yeah, so I actually met Marlene through a good friend of mine here, Steve Sims. Shout out to Steve. Good family friends of ours. Had this opportunity to support them. I had not heard of Grammy's Cookie Convoy, but of course, multiple deployments overseas over the course of my entire career, and it was the beneficiary of many care packages. And it's kind of like getting this hug from your mom at home, and it's the opportunity to give back to them, and especially here in my community here at Bentwater Country Club, and also Montgomery and the great state of Texas. Just wanted to jump at the opportunity to give them thanks and give them a little message before they have a great golf tournament today.
Your resume is really unbelievable. I mean, world-class athlete. You're an expert in mental training and psychology in the world of sports. You're a leadership expert. 20 years played football for Army. 20 years in the military. Extreme environments you were in. And then taking that, how do you take that and get into mental training and psychology at the sports level?
Yeah, I found it just like you did. At a young age in my life, I wish that more people would be able to get this, what I call mental fitness training earlier in their lifespan. You think about what a great impact that would be. You got it at IMG, I got it at West Point, this unique center where I was really struggling. I was on the outside, I was confident and committed and courage. I was physically fit, Division I football player, but on the inside my mind, I was drowning this comparison against the world's best and finest of my classmates, and that showed up with inconsistency and insecurity and doubt in the classroom and on the football field. So this unique center called the Center for Enhanced Performance provided mental performance training based on sport and performance psychology. I started working one-on-one with an officer. And
this was when you were in school?
This is when I was at West Point, yeah. And then, again, this is the early 90s. Again, this is at a time when sports psychology still really isn't in the mainstream, but it was offered to me as a unique support center and training, and I just took advantage of it.
You have a saying, you don't have to be sick to get better.
Yes, sir.
How have you normalized mental fitness in locker rooms?
Sure. Well, I think when we think traditionally the word mental, there's still a lot of stigma around it too. And we tend to think of mental health, which is really the foundation of mental fitness, right? And so when we are psychologically sick or injured, we have anxiety, depression, or we just feel overwhelmed, we need to talk to someone, get some help. There's a lot of resources for that. The pandemic really brought that to light. But there's this whole other spectrum of what I call the mental fitness bridge. So if that mental health resources when we're survival mode is the left-hand side, there's this other middle side of the bridge called resilience when we can bounce back from adversity. And through some of those same resources and through training, we can become more resilient. But just because you're resilient doesn't mean that you're getting mentally stronger. So there's this performance band that you and I are familiar with, a lot of people aren't, to where it's like strength and conditioning for the mind. And at the upper range is like the flow or the zone, but those are fleeting and rare moments. So how do you get the most out of what you have? Because the best of the best that I've worked with and experienced myself know that they're not always going to have their A game. Sometimes you're going to have your C game. And how do you get a C plus consistently? How do you get the job done? And you do that through training and these additional resources. So wherever you're at on the mental fitness bridge, if we can meet ourselves where we're at, meet others where they're at, and get to where we need to go, we can become a better version of ourselves. And that involves actively training our minds like our body and our craft, and that's what I'm all about.
I'm just thinking about Scotty Scheffler when you're talking about this and
yeah.
how great he is even on his C-plus game. And in golf, we're always at the peak A-plus state. We're always trying to find that blackout zone.
Right.
We're not even – the body is separated from the mind, and we're just flowing.
Right.
Andy, when you said you learned all this in college and made a lot of improvements to the between the year game in college. Right. I think there's some young men who feel like it's too late,
Sure.
in their 20s and 30s.
Right.
You left college and went in the most high-stakes situations possible.
Right.
You had the confidence to do that.
Right.
How can young men get that?
Sure. Well, I think there's a lot of resources out there that are available. A lot of people are not aware of. And so, first of all, not everybody's going to have a mental performance coach or consultant like myself, but there are thousands and thousands of certified mental performance consultants that are out there that are looking for work, right? So, first of all, I recommend going to the Association for Applied Sports Psychology, my field, and be able to look up who is available in your area. If you don't have the available resources, I recommend being able to check out a myriad of training resources that we could leave in the show notes. But the thing is, there's a lot of great resources that are available through self-help books, podcasts, so on and so forth, where you're actively training your mind, like your body and your craft, right? And if we can get past ourselves and put our pride and ego aside and say, hey, what got me here is not what's going to keep me here, and that I have to continue to be able to train my mind, like my body and craft, even though I don't see results, you're going to find that it's going to give you the edge, and it may be the decisive thing that helps you be able to, get that job done, get that pay raise, really have a breakthrough in your relationship, just have a great day and appreciate and having gratitude for what you have in your life versus focusing on what you don't. And so it's really not about the big things. I really think there are no little things. It's just about how do you actively train your mind, and including getting out of your comfort zone.
Andy, when we have an hour to work with, I'm going to get you back on the show
Yes, sir.
because there's so many more topics I want to dive into. 8:57, we're out of time at the top of the hour. That is Andy Reese joining us on ESPN 97.5 Houston. Andy, thank you for your
Thanks,
time
Will.
today,
Yeah.
and thank you for your service.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
We'll talk again soon, and we'll talk next week here on the Golf Hour with Will Doctor on ESPN 97.5 Houston.